Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. Today we'll be discussing the style guide for big and tall men and some of the frustrations they might find while shopping and how to best avoid them. Now, many men who fall into the big and tall category often find shopping an event that they usually want to avoid. It is our hope to help alleviate some of this frustration by giving you some great ways to help navigate your style. Now, have you ever noticed that when shopping, it's pretty difficult sometimes to find a really good assortment of things in your size if you are in the big and tall category? For example, say a 38 size waist pant or larger. Even if this brand does make that size available, there usually won't be much physical inventory readily available for you to purchase that day. For many years now, we've seen repetitively how designers often miss the mark and take a long time to recognize that all people are not made in the exact same shape. Because of this lack of awareness of what their customer base actually looks like, sometimes their sales actually do suffer. These companies often have many men who would enjoy shopping from them, but are left with very few options. Now, thankfully, there are some places around and more that are coming up that are catering to big and tall men. Beyond stores themselves, there are also many ways to style yourself so that you are feeling confident each and every day. Now, there are some great places you can go to get a shop for big and tall style. Some places like kingsize.com, Destination XL, Brooks Brothers, Men's Warehouse, and the Nordstrom Big and Tall section. Alright, now that we've discussed some great places to shop for big and tall style, let's move into some other categories that help you perfect your style. Shirts, for example. Now, there are a few key areas to make mention of when you're trying to make sure your shirt fits appropriately. One main area you're going to want to focus on with your shirt is the shoulders. You want the shoulder seams to fall naturally just off of the edge of your natural shoulders. Now, if the shoulder seams are falling too wide and sit too long off of your shoulders, the entire shirt starts to look a little bit too blousey. Now, if the shoulder seams are a little bit too short, it will affect the overall width of the shirt and it will look too small on you. If you happen to be someone with a larger back or happens to be a little bit more muscular, this will feel quite uncomfortable. You might feel that there's too much tension or pressure across the chest or even in the armpit area. The next big area we're going to pay attention to is sleeve length. Now, whether you're shopping for a casual shirt or even a dress shirt, the same rule applies. Now, it's best to have your sleeve length fall about a ½ inch below the break in the wrist. Now, by doing this ensures that when wearing a blazer or even a sweater, you're going to have about a inch to maybe even 3/4 of an inch of your shirt cuff exposed. By keeping this sleeve length, you will also ensure that the sleeve does not feel too taut. Many times in my retail experience, I've seen high quality garments being returned by customers who are a little bit frustrated by the fact that a shirt was ripping the exact same spot, and the biggest problem was that they're buying their sleeve lengths too short. If a sleeve length is too short, it causes excessive tension around the elbow area especially. If you're someone who works at a desk, you might notice feeling this tension around the elbow area as you're working on your computer or writing at your desk. Now, the next big area we're going to pay attention to on the shirt is the chest. Now, if you happen to be someone who is a more flat or narrow-chested individual, you might find it's a little bit easier to shop for different shirt options than a more muscular individual. However, there are times where it might be equally as frustrating for someone who is of a narrow chest to find an appropriately fitting shirt as well. Now, number one, to fix a shirt that might look too loose, the best thing you can do is ensure that you're in the right size and that you're in the correct fit. If you're still not satisfied, consider speaking with the tailor about making minor adjustments to the garment to make it fit better for your frame. Now, if you are an individual who has a wide and more muscular chest, you will probably find that your issues stem from there not being enough room in the overall total chest circumference area of the shirt. Now, when this happens, this usually causes a lot of gapping between the buttons on the front of the shirt and a lot of pull lines all over the shirt as well. One way to resolve this is by selecting a larger neck size. This allows for broader shoulders and also more room in your chest. The next area we're going to talk about is the shirt length. The average shirt length of your button-down dress shirt is going to fall just at the base of your backside. This is because the designer usually will account for the fact that you're probably going to be tucking your shirt in, and to prevent it from being untucked, they give a little extra length. Next area we're going to talk about is the shirt width. Now this is something that you usually won't be able to select too much off the rack outside of the usual classic slim or athletic shirt width options. Now if you're a gentleman whose waistline extends significantly beyond your shoulder width, custom or made to measure shirts might be an option you would like to consider. The next category we're going to talk about is jackets. It's important to know your best jacket size and the exact fit you should be in. One area we want to pay attention to on the jacket is the shoulders. You want to make sure that the shoulders are actually falling gracefully off of your own natural shoulders. We want to avoid extremely tight jackets which are giving a lot of weird tension around the shoulder area. You'll notice this is happening if you see your shoulder almost fully protruding out of the shoulder seam itself. Now at the same time, we also want to make sure that we're avoiding overly wide shoulders in the jacket. You'll notice this is happening when it almost seems to droop off of your natural shoulder, almost as if you're the coat hanger. This is going to provide way more extra room in the chest to the point where you could probably grab the fabric. You don't need all that excess material. Now one area we also want to make sure we make note of is the fit of the jacket. You want to avoid jackets that are too tight, that are causing a lot of horizontal pull lines across the front and across the back of the jacket. Now moving on down throughout the rest of the outfit, we're going to look at trousers. We want to make sure that you're in the correct size of trouser. Now if you flat out don't know your size and you don't want to figure it out yourself, you can always visit your local menswear store or local tailor and ask them to give you a simple measurement and give you an idea as to what size you should be shopping for. The ideal fitting waist of a trouser will allow you to be able to stick about 2 fingers into your waistband comfortably. This will ensure that when you put your belt on, there's not so much fabric that it starts to almost have that trash bag effect, but at the same time it's not so tight that you feel uncomfortable sitting down or having your lunch. You also want to make sure that you're in the correct length or inseam of trouser. You want to make sure that your trouser length is falling just over the top of the shoe. Any shorter and it starts to look like a bit of a high water trouser, and any longer and it looks a little bit sloppy. Now one area to shop for these trousers and jackets and shirts that we've discussed would be off the rack in some of the stores that we listed earlier in the video, or we could also go for a more custom or bespoke route as well. Now choosing to decide whether or not you're going to go completely off the rack for your wardrobe or include a few custom pieces are going to come down to a few factors, such as budget, time, and your overall build. Now off the rack, for example, it's the one we're all most familiar with. It's a very easy way to shop. We can go into a store, we can go online and get our purchase fairly quickly and put it on and go on about our day. Off the rack is a very popular option. It's seen as quick and efficient. Now this is often found because of how quick it is to be able to make a purchase, but also because of the low cost that's usually involved compared to a custom garment. Custom garments are seen as something that's much more unique. It often involves a little bit more time and a little bit more money, but the uniqueness usually wins out. Although custom garments are usually much more expensive than off-the-rack items, I do recommend if you have the disposable income to try it out, go for it. Now some men might find that having a custom garment made is almost a necessity for their wardrobe because of their frame. Now if that is you in that particular situation, the good news is there are a plethora of great options to find to be able to have jackets, trousers, and shirts made that are much more cost effective. Now perhaps if you're finding that going custom is a little bit too expensive, there is one area in between off the rack and custom that you can utilize. It's called made to measure. Now made to measure is a great option to utilize if you've got the time. It is template based, a little bit more cost effective than going full custom, and you can choose different options to personalize the garment for yourself. Now once you've got this great outfit put together, whether you bought it in store or had it made for you, we've got to add some great details to make it stand out. Ties is our next topic. Now, if you're a man who already wears a tie from time to time, I'm sure you already know the importance of finding the correct length for your tie. Big and tall men in particular usually have a much more difficult time finding that correct length for their ties. Now this difficulty can sometimes stem from having a large neck circumference, sometimes mixed with also having a very long torso. Now some brands may carry ties in both a regular and an extra long option. To view some great tie options in both lengths, check out Fort Belvedere. Now some people, when they get dressed, do all they can to put on size and make themselves look a little bit bigger. But if you're already a big and tall gentleman, you might be looking for some ways to appear leaner. One way you can appear a little bit leaner is by paying attention to the scale of the pattern in which you're dressing yourself with. Now, the scale or size of the pattern and the type of pattern you're choosing to wear can make you look larger or smaller. Now, wide scale patterns like a buffalo check shirt tend to make the wearer look much broader. If this is not your goal, try wearing small to medium-sized check patterns, for example, and avoid horizontal stripes. Having narrow pinstripes on a shirt or pants, or a chalk stripe on a jacket of a suit, for example, are another great way to make the wearer appear a little bit leaner. Now, research has shown that exceptionally small patterns can also make a big and tall gentleman look bigger because they've got more room that they're wearing this pattern with. So medium to small size patterns are usually the best way to go. Now, next, within the category of looking leaner, we're going to pay attention to color. Now, light and bright colors like a white or a pastel blue are more eye-catching and can add volume to the wearer. To avoid appearing larger than you are, try wearing a dark color above the light color. Darker colors like black and navy, for example, have the tendency to make things look a little bit smaller. Next, we're going to talk about eyewear. It's important to understand when choosing eyewear what your face shape is. Now, some common face shapes that many people will find that they have are square, diamond, heart, oval. Many people that have an oval shaped face find that they have a wider variety of options when shopping for eyewear. Those with diamond, heart, or square shaped faces will need to find eyewear choices that will help balance out their face shape. For example, if you have a square face, try choosing a circular frame. Please take note, though, that not everyone will easily fall into one of these different face shape categories. Due to everyone's unique traits, some people might have attributes of a multitude of different face shapes. Once you have found the correct face shape, it's important to also find the correct width. Now, some of us, myself included, are so smart that we've got extra large heads for all this knowledge. Now, because of this extra width some men might have, it's important to find eyewear that lands squarely over the ear as opposed to something that is too narrow. Now, having eyewear that looks too narrow is certainly a common problem that some gentlemen in the big and tall category might have, but it's also possible to find eyewear that looks too wide. Make sure that the width of the glasses fall naturally just off the width of your temples. Do the temple arms tend to bend when you look at yourself in the mirror? If so, you should probably try a slightly wider pair to help alleviate this problem. Also, some manufacturers make their eyewear with a spring hinge, which gives much more comfort and ease for the wearer. Now, just to recap, remember there are a number of places to shop for the big and tall gentleman. When it comes to shirts, make sure you're in the right fit, you know your neck size, and you're getting enough length in that sleeve. Remember, with pants, we want to be in the correct fit, you have the right waist size, and you're in the right inseam. For more information about pleats and other details about pants, check out this great video from the Gentleman's Gazette. Also, don't try to follow fad or trendy, different design trends that might not complement your physique. Find those small to medium-sized patterns and a color combination you enjoy and incorporating those things into your wardrobe. And remember, if you have the disposable income, you could always get 1 or 2 pieces from a custom clothier as well. Today I'm wearing a wool-based made-to-measure jacket, navy plaid, with some really cool silver gray buttonhole detailing. I've got a light gray made-to-measure trouser on, and I have black dress boots from Cole Haan.